Hello everyone, it's Alex, Ukrainian civilian. On this channel, I try to explain what happens in Ukraine from the point of view of a regular citizen, with the use of open sources of intelligence and my personal observations. This time I'm going to share my experience of visiting the biggest volunteering center in Cherkasy, a city located in 170 kilometers from Kiev, and of course the recent changes in South and East front lines. This Wednesday, an American blogger, Dylan Burns, who has been working here in Ukraine since May, asked me if I could accompany him on his trip to Cherkasy. I didn't think a lot because it was vital for me to change the environment, and I agreed. Since I'm still finishing my driving school, it was obvious that we had to use the public transport. It was quite a challenge for me because I haven't used any internal transport services in Ukraine since February, but Ukrainian businesses keep doing their job on controlled by Ukraine territories, and I was able to find a bus to Cherkasy. Voila, 3 hours and we were there. A couple of my university classmates were born in Cherkasy, but I haven't been there. Dylan and I didn't have much time to explore the city, but it wasn't our main goal for visiting Cherkasy. Dylan was invited by one of the volunteers of the charity foundation Center for the Help to the Army, Veterans and their families. Although helping and supporting armed forces of Ukraine since 2014, they became popular and famous quite recently because of the wonderful initiative to sell signs on shells, rockets and even tanks in collaboration with various brigades of armed forces of Ukraine. Under this funny trend, there is thorough and hard work of a group of volunteers that not only buys tactical equipment, medical supplies, food, but also deliver it to different regiments from Slavyansk and Bakhmut to Zaporizhia and Kryvyi Rih. Another important area of their activity is the evacuation of civilians from warfare areas. Their team is so diverse and effective, starting from the director of the center, Svetlana, that has been working since 2014, a coordinator, Ivana, that takes care of multiple requests, a volunteer, Anton, that created this funny initiative. They all work together, and I'm so happy that I had a chance to talk to them, to listen to their stories. I cannot tell everything about their heroic deeds, but I was so impressed by areas where those volunteers succeed in order to support Ukrainian troops. If you want to order a sign on a shell and send message to Russians, I'll leave the link to their resources in the description to this video. Now let's jump to the recent activity of Ukrainian and Russian forces. There are three main directions that Ukrainian supporters should be aware of. And of course we will start with the south of Ukraine. At the end of July I made a video about the possible Kherson counteroffensive, and I said then that Russian internet trolls or regular users don't pay much attention to this danger. Unlike the Russian command. Russians during the last 2 weeks regrouped a large number of their professional military regiments from the Kharkiv direction to the south of Ukraine. Right now I'm using two maps prepared by Defmon. I already mentioned him in my previous videos. And despite the danger of cutting their supply roads, Russians still prepare their troops. I'm not sure they're preparing those troops for attacking or defending activities, and the Ukrainian intelligence shares some dates from August 8th to August 10th. So all we have to do is to wait and see what is going to happen. Meanwhile, Russians decided to hit the direction that was quite stable for the last 5 months. I'm talking about the fortified Ukrainian positions near Donetsk, especially small cities like Avdiivka, Pisky or Mariinka. During the last week, Russians enhanced their artillery group in this direction and focused on destroying all possible fortifications of armed forces of Ukraine. It was quite a surprise for the Ukrainian command, and troops there faced quite significant losses because of the lack of reserves that could help to stay strong against this advance. So firstly, Russians got some gains in these directions and really injured a lot of Ukrainian soldiers and killed, of course. It was a huge shock for Ukrainian society, but later the Ukrainian command added more reserves and our regiments were able to stop this advance. And the last direction I'd like to discuss with you is the Kharkiv one. Since Russians removed a lot of regiments from positions near Izum and replaced them with Donetsk and Luhansk militias, Ukrainians use it to make small advances. They are quite insignificant. However, it's important to see what is going to happen in the future. Our Russians are planning to defend them, or we will see more gains for Ukrainian army. So I already did a lot of mistake trying to forecast the future scenarios of the war, and I will try to avoid doing them again. I'd like to still to conclude that my opinion is the main battle of this war will be held in the south of Ukraine, and I think soon we will see the development of the ending of this war. I think that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching my videos. I again encourage you to support Ukraine in our fight for our freedom. Please feel free to support groups you trust or buy a shell from volunteers I mentioned previously. And I'm still going to share some news on this channel, and of course please stay tuned, and I'm going to do some new, hoping quite entertaining videos for you. Слава Україні! Героям слава!